right, fun fact, I filmed this entire video this morning, went about my day, came back to edit the raw footage, which was about 2 hours long, only to find out the entire thing was corrupted, just because when I was filming it on the iPhone here, the storage was full with the last, 2 minutes. I got the notification, filming has stopped, storage is full. So I said, okay, no big deal, deleted something, filmed a 2-minute clip, went about my day. Because the storage was full, despite having the room to film the first 2 hours, everything was just gone. So, fun. Doing this again. Obviously, I am not going to be able to talk about everything that happened in Wano. I was an idiot last week to think I could. I'll put down in the comments about where I stopped, but this is not spoiler-free for other things that's happening post-Wano. I could jump around anywhere, so if you have not finished the complete arc of Wano, this is not safe. Alright, where do I start? Last week's video was very, very positive. I was very excited because I had just finished the arc. And that was kind of the idea of these videos, for it to be my initial reactions without much forethought, just what I was thinking and feeling in that moment. Now that some time has passed, I'm starting to reflect back on some things, and I'm ever so slightly more negative than my initial reactions, but only slightly. Mainly in terms of the crews, and once again the setup. I just feel Wano was really rushed in character, I guess setup and exploration would be the best way, investment in these characters. Just because Big Mom, so well set up. She had been established in Fishman Island, a threat. Luffy wanted to go after her, take her territory, again in Whole Cake Island. And we explored all her crew and her family, the political arrangements of it. I love Katakuri and Pudding and Branch. I know Branch is not her name, but she's Branch to me. I really loved all those siblings. And the only one I didn't really like was the guy who killed Pedro. And he was the only one really involved with Big Mom here in this arc of Wano. And then you have Kaido and all his crew. The only ones I bothered to learn the name of was King and Queen. I enjoyed them fine, but the rest of his crew and pirates, I did not care for at all. Other than Yamato, but they don't count, because they're not really with Kaido's crew. So I feel more setup could have been given to Kaido's crew for investment in these fights, because basically what I'm going to be talking about here is just how I felt about the individual fights leading up to Luffy's big fight. That is not saying at all that I disliked it. I was on an adrenaline high the first time, and I'm still looking at very fondly of all the fights here. I had fun. It was really great. Just still feel like the emotional investment was lacking a bit. Starting with where we left off before, Big Mom has gone over the side of the roof, and it is Luffy left up there with Kaido as Killer, Kid, La, and Zoro are going down to deal with Big Mom. La ends up teleporting him and Zoro down, who is caught by Sanji. I really enjoyed that panel of just Sanji carrying the both of them, being like, what the hell, how'd you get down here? Why Zoro all beat up, and La just being like, deal with him, here are his injuries, list out a big long list of injuries, keep him alive, I gotta go. He races off to find Kid and Big Mom, and Sanji's just like, I'm not a doctor, what the hell do you want me to do? And he wraps him up like a mummy, and that is honestly hilarious, seeing him carried around like that. I'm positive I seen someone cosplay that before. I had no idea it was for this arc, and I forgot about it until this moment, and I love it so very much. He eventually tracks down Chopper, who is able to give him some medicine, sort of like Iva's in the it was Marineford. Yeah, during the Marineford incident, that allowed him to keep fighting, but once it all wears off, he's going to feel it like 3 times as bad. Nami and Usopp are running through the battlefield, trying to stay out of the way when they run into Tama, and they're trying to keep her safe when the Toby Rampo group person with a mass ulti, something like that. Again, I don't really care about those characters. They just kind of came out of nowhere, no real introduction that I felt like I should know who they are, really. So she showed up, and she's upset because, later on, I think she's upset because her brother is attacked and brought down by Luffy and them. So she's going after Tama because Tama has used her dumpling ability to kind of change the sides of the battle, bringing the beast pirates into their end. And she's about to attack her when Big Mom has fallen through the floor, thankfully saved. I say thankfully. Actually, no, thankfully. I like Big Mom. By her new cloud that she has created, as well as Prometheus, and they've kind of kicked Zeus out. So she ends up going into a more motherly role to protect Tama because she remembers Tama in this village of being very kind to her when she had amnesia. And for young children, Big Mom's actually very motherly. However, that doesn't last long when Tama sides with Usopp and Nami, and Big Mom still wants to kill Usopp and Nami, and eventually she turns on Tama. But before that, she takes extreme offense in learning that Kaido's pirates had burned down the village that had been so kind to her and that she wanted to get sweets and food for, because they thought they were hiding the samurai and taking the blame for the samurai. And she is furious. But before this ulti girl mask thing can attack Tama, it's actually Nami who steps in and whacks her with everything she has with her climate baton and unleashing all her power to protect Tama. Like, no one can touch this child. And before the ulti can get back at Nami, it's Big Mom who steps in and is just like, you burned down that village of the people who were kind to me, and she takes her out. I love that moment. I love that for Big Mom. I really do love her character. I love her when she's being a manipulative political figure. I do not condone the abuse of children. However, how manipulative and narcissistic and controlling she is of her children, just being a bad mother. It's just entertaining as hell. I love her when she's full strength. I love her when she goes on a rage, just unable to control impulses. I really love Big Mom. I don't want to say she's my favorite of the Emperors, because obviously Whitebeard. No one's even in the same league as Whitebeard. But of the ones currently active, I think she's my favorite, even more than, like, Shanks, because I just haven't seen enough of Shanks. But my tinfoil hat theories are working overdrive with him, which we're probably going to get into next video, because I didn't cover it the first time I did this video. Now, Zeus is back, and he's released from La and Kid's hold, and goes to Big Mom, who is angry at him for disappointing her over and over again. So she has made another cloud to work with Prometheus, and they've essentially kicked out Zeus, and then Snoo Cloud's trying to consume him. And Nami is still very angry at Zeus for trying to kill her, rightfully so. But she does give him, like, a parting gift of trying to help with the lightning ball black cloud things and throws it at him. But it's not enough to save him. He gets consumed by the other cloud. But then the next time later on, when Nami uses her climate baton, it's actually Zeus in the baton itself and being summoned, and he's stronger. And though Nami said they'll never be friends again, she eventually forgives him and begrudgingly kind of works together, and he has to choose between her and Big Mom. Even though he still feels the pull of loyalty to Big Mom, he does go eventually side with Nami, knowing that Big Mom will kill him. So it's very cute. Nami has her new power-up, and I love it for her. I've said multiple times that I adore her having these weather powers and constantly upgrading, so she herself is not overly powerful like other members of the crew, but she has a powerful weapon. She can stand on her own. I love her as a navigator, and the climate control just really works with her character, so I adore that so very much. Cutting to Kid and La, who are running through the fields or the battlefield looking for Big Mom, but before they can get to her, Hawkins showed up, and as a reminder, Hawkins was my favorite of this worst generation when they were initially introduced. I loved the tarot cards, I loved his design, he was just creepy and cool. I really, really liked it. But then he really pissed me off when he threatened La and La's crew, so I hate this man so very much for that, and I was looking forward to this fight. So Killer actually stays behind to hold off Hawkins while La and Kid goes off to face Big Mom and keep her from getting to the roof. They have a fight, and it's going well for Killer, except for the fact that Hawkins has made one of the straw dolls for Kid. So in order for Killer to kill him, he must kill his own captain, which is not happening. And it's such a good fight for that. Killer is trying to talk to Hawkins, like, take my life, leave Kid out of this. It's not happening. During the battle with Big Mom, we see Kid being hampered, like saying, I got a headache, because Hawkins is banging his head into a wall. And the crew is all standing around like, what the hell do we do? How do we help? What can we do? And Killer eventually does a very obvious thing that I did not see coming, because mostly I didn't know the straw doll was either in his actual arm or in his hand or something like that. But Killer gets around this by literally chopping off Hawkins' arm that corresponds with Killer's metal arm. And luckily the straw doll had been in that arm. So it severs the connection. And then, of course, we learn that Hawkins had been talking previously about the 1% chance of survival, implying at the time it was Luffy. I was thinking he was talking about Kaido, because there's no way in hell Kaido's getting out of this alive. Only to turn out that he was referring to himself and his regret for having to join the Beast Pirates to survive that, but now knowing that he's too far gone, he can't betray them, and it will lead to his death. He can't survive this encounter. So I really liked all that with his story. Whether or not he's actually dead, I don't know, because Oda is not good with letting me know if characters are actually dying. I think he's dead. But anywho, that leads me to a criticism that I have for this arc. I was not sure when deaths actually mattered, because we have multiple fake out deaths. We have a bunch of ones that I thought were just dropping from exhaustion. Not a bunch, there was one. And then it turns out they died. So I missed a very important grieving of a character and feeling concerned about their safety, because A, I barely even seen their fight, and then they fall to the ground, and when we're off the island, oh, here's their memorial, they died. And I'm like, well, why? I didn't get to grieve them. Meanwhile, other characters are getting chopped down. I'm scared for them. And one extremely emotional moment was undercut by, oh no, they're fine, after I'd already grieved for them. And I'm like, oh my god, Oda. Character deaths, that is going to be my one complaint for anything with One Piece. I can deal with him not killing off characters, because a lot of the times it's destroying someone's dream is more traumatic, and making them fail in that sense hurts more, or the threat of not being able to achieve one's dream would hurt more than them actually dying. I agree on that. But when you include fake out deaths, and then the few times that you do kill characters, I think it's a fake out death, so I don't care that they just fell down, because I didn't know they died. That will be my only complaint for this series, I'm sure of it. What happens next? Talking about Kid and La real quick, I absolutely adore when La was calling Kid by his first name that I probably cannot pronounce. I think is it Eustace? Something like that. So La was calling him by his first name, and I love that. And then they're bickering back and forth, and they have such a good dynamic. If Kid did not call La, however his first name is pronounced, Trafalgar, that at some point in time, in my head he did, because I don't know why, I love them calling each other by their first name, because it's a delight. Momo, my sweet darling boy, this boy needs therapy. This boy needs all of the therapy. So, okay, him and the shinobi were with Yamato, who gave them Odin's journal. Momo was reading his journal. The stuff about Laugh Tale is tore out, so we don't know all that, but he's saying something about it's very important that he stays alive. He needs to live and survive this. We don't know why. We don't know anything about the Void Century. We don't know anything about Odin's journey, and this journal has so much information that I need to know what it says. So my sweet boy is still grieving his father, because this all only happened probably a couple months ago for him. And then all of a sudden, his father comes through along with Kinemon and Kiku. And this is because Kanjiro, the manipulative jerk that he is, has painted another picture of Odin to go after momnosuke. And Kiku and Kinemon do not fall for this painting this time, and they have to attack him and give Momo time to run. We then get flashbacks, the flashbacks that I was waiting for to really connect me with the samurai to Momonosuke or to Odin or to anyone like that. And it's Kinemon and Momo pretending to be father and son. They got to get used to saying, not being so formal around each other, because Momo was a higher position. So Kinemon had to get used to calling him son, and he had to get used to calling Kinemon father. And oh my goodness, seeing that little tiny flashback, and then it's Momo running away while Kinemon is cut down by Kanjiro as they're fighting, or by Kaido's forces or something like that. Seeing him fall actually broke me. I was so upset, which is why later on, when it turns out La's devil fruit power were still in effect and he's just cut apart and running torso or running legs around the field and still alive, I felt like it undercut that moment, which was upsetting. Momo, again, we're going to just stick with him for a little while. He heard Luffy come back, and eventually he has to go to the shinobi girl and tells him that he can't do this as a child. He needs to be larger. He needs to be a transformed dragon form, and asks her to use the fruit to age him up so he'll be an adult. So we have an 8-year-old in an adult 28-year-old's body, and everyone is already expecting so much from this child. He is 8 years old. He's at pretty much the head of this war. Everyone's looking to him to be the shogun when they win, and trusting in him and his family name. That's a lot of responsibility for an 8-year-old. And now we have an 8-year-old looking like a 28-year-old, so everyone's looking to him, you're an adult now, you have to handle this. He is not an adult, he's an 8-year-old child in desperate need of therapy. Alright, so Luffy had been fighting with Kaido, and we had the issue where he was using his Conqueror's Haki into his attacks, but was not able to properly control this attack, was overcome by Kaido and thrown into the water, where the glorious, God love this submarine, comes and saves him, thank God. They resuscitate him on the sub, he sings out for meat, because of course he does. They get him to land, and Caribou, of all people, is there with a mountain of food, and is just like, here you go, I need you to survive this to get me off this island. So Luffy is consuming all the food, he's ready to go fight Kaido once again. That's when he turns to Momonosuke, is like, hey, turn into a dragon, carry me up there, and Momo has the conversation and ages himself up. Now, Luffy, my sweet darling boy, says you're an adult now, you can't be afraid. Raise your head, and Momo's just like, in this dragon form, I'm so tall, even raising my head brings me up so high. Luffy's like, stop being afraid, and I'm like, my darling boy Luffy, you have to understand, he's an 8-year-old traumatized child in need of therapy. Luffy also needs therapy. Everyone needs therapy. But eventually, Momo overcomes his fear and brings Luffy back up to the platform with his eyes closed. Because A, he's scared of heights, and B, the wind's probably blowing in his eyes, and he's running through everything. Like, banging through walls and floors and terrifying everyone because there's just this dragon coming up through and they don't know what's going on. Meanwhile, Yamato is up at the top fighting their father, and he is in this dog transformation form, which Kaido had initially found that he didn't want Yamato to eat, but he did. And we get these flashbacks of Yamato and his relationship with his father. And it's stuff like, with those chains that he had put on them. Like, what kind of father chains his own son with literal explosion chains like the celestial dragons would give him? Originally, Yamato wasn't sure if they were real or not, and when Luffy threw them off him and they exploded, he's like, what kind of father would do that to their child? So he's up there fighting Kaido and holding his own, being like, I've come to sever the bond between us. If I really want to be Odin, I cannot run. I have to face you. I adore their fight. I cannot wait to be caught up so I can go back and watch the anime for Wano. Because, oh my god, these fights are beautiful in the manga alone. I need to watch the anime. Another thing I love was the flashback with Yamato showing them as a child. And I don't think he wanted to be Odin yet in this flashback, but basically going against Kaido and being chained up in this cave with a bunch of captive prisoners who all hate Kaido. And Yamato's just like, father, they're going to kill me because they hate you. Don't leave me in here. And Kaido just seals the door on him and only leaving enough food for one of the prisoners, and there's 3 other prisoners in there. And Yamato is just expecting to be killed or tortured because of how much they hate Kaido. Only for them to turn around and be like, here, child, eat this food. We are samurai. We do not feel hunger. And are kind to him and listen to him about what he wants. And he gives them Odin's journal, and they together they read it, and they bond through that, and they promise that even though they're not going to live long enough to be around for when someone uprises for the war that will come and overturn Kaido, they're not going to stay back and wait. So they go out and they break out to fight Kaido and are all killed. Everyone that Yamato loves who has stood by them has been killed by Kaido. And this man is just a terrible father. And watching him get sucker punched in the face multiple times was a delight. That being said, I don't actually hate Kaido, but we'll talk about that later on. And seeing him team up with Luffy as they come up on this big, beautiful pink dragon, and together Yamato and Luffy both land a hit on Kaido was excellent. And I especially love later on when Luffy tells Momo to bite down on Kaido's back, and he does in dragon form, and it's just like, you just bit an emperor of the sea. Do you have anything, is there anything else in this world you could possibly be scared of? And Momo's just like, no there isn't. So he's getting some confidence there. And eventually Luffy is just like, I'm going to finish this one-on-one. You guys go, I will not lose. And they leave because they know that when Kaido falls, because they're betting everything on Luffy, the entire island is going to crash out of the sky. So Momo, having just been aged up and doesn't know how to control this dragon form, has to learn to create flames and clouds to hold this island up or take control of Kaido's flames in order to stop it. Because dragons don't actually fly. They move and climb and grip the clouds as they move, so he needs to make his own clouds to stop the island from falling. And Yamato tells him, we can't interrupt Luffy's fight. Our job is to take care of the aftermath without anyone knowing, so Luffy can concentrate on this. If Luffy knows that when he takes down Kaido, we're all going to die because we're going to crash out of the sky, that's going to distract him. We have to handle that. So Yamato goes in because Kanjuro has also created this fire of rage that his family is holding, manipulated by Orochi bastard, by the way, to go down to where there's a bomb at the bottom and the armory to explode and still kill everybody. So Yamato's gone to freeze that and take care of that, while Momo's focusing on taking control of the entire island. Let's talk about Orochi bastard, because this man is still alive. And I'm happy he's still alive because I wanted to see him die. And this way I didn't know I wanted it until I saw it. So he is waiting for the shinobi guy with big ears to come and they can make a run for it. Side note, that shinobi buddy is actually fighting Raizo, and it's a delight. I love it. It ends in like more or less a stalemate, with them both using like a paralyzing ninjutsu on each other, and the fire that Kanjuro has made is burning around them, and the heat, and they're about to burn to death because neither one of them can move, and they're both, and the shinobi guy is just saying, release your paralyzing jutsu on me. And Raizo, who has been in the burning oil on the lid with Odin and felt that heat, and is just like, this is nothing, I will outlast you, I will win this fight, I love Raizo for that moment, is just like, I'm not letting you go. I love it. So anyway, Orochi bastard, they're waiting for him when he turns around and he sees, is it Hiyori? Yes, Hiyori. I don't trust myself with names. She's wearing the mask of her former identity that she was using. So, and she's playing the song that Orochi bastard loves, the same one her father Odin loved. And she's playing it and luring him into a false sense of security as she's looking at the man who has killed her mother, her father, destroyed her home, imprisoned her subjects, and has destroyed her life. And she had been forced to infiltrate his inner circle to not rebuff his advancements, all the time making these little events, taking advantage of where she could to bring him down slowly from the inside, like bring down as many people as she could. And finally, she deserves this moment to be the one to take him down. She reveals herself to be Odin's daughter. He is in shock. He transforms into the Hydra form, but sea prism stones made into nails in the pillars fall on him as the fire burns. And even when he's able to get out of there, and the earthquakes and everything that's happening from other battles shakes those nails out, and he transforms wanting to kill her, It's Denjiro, my darling. I think he's my one of my favorite of the samurai. Comes to the rescue, slices him down, and protects Hiyori, who's crying into his chest. And still, this Hydra transformation comes back one last time, only for Hiyori to watch as the fire consumes him, saying your family is meant to burn. And A, I love that for her, but B, we got into this mess because people subjugated an entire family for the crimes of one family member. So, little mixed feelings on the use of his family name, because again, if people had just been like, okay, Grandpa paid his dues, he killed himself because he poisoned a bunch of people, maybe we shouldn't push that on the future generations and not hunt them down and kill them, leading to them wanting revenge. We might not be in such bad of a situation. But I love Hiyori, so she got her revenge, and I love that moment. Talking quickly about Usopp, who is taking advantage of the fact that Big Mom's around and her Conqueror's Haki is influencing people in the area and knocking people out, and he's pretending it's his doing, allowing him and Nami and Tama to sneak through, and later they come across a very injured Kinemon and Kiku, and they're trying to protect them while the two samurai are just like, we're slowing you down, let us die in battle. It's fine, we're not afraid of death. And Usopp's just like, yeah, well, I am terrified of death, so if you don't want to live, what's the point of me even coming to save you? So stop it. Why are you samurai like this? I'm going to hold on to my life and fight to live with snot running down my nose and tears in my eyes, no matter how dishonorable I appear. I'm going to live, so why don't you want to live? And I love that for Usopp, just being like, it's okay to be a coward, it's okay to run, it's okay to want to live and fight to live. Meanwhile, we also know Usopp has many times stood up, faced death, risked his own life for the people he cares about and a cause he believes in. But right now, it's just like his personality is, I want to live. I came all this way to save you, so you're going to live too. And I love that for him. Talking about, let's talk about Robin first. So her and Brook are fighting the Black Mariah spider lady in Kaido's crew, and she is trapped in this hallucination, and Brook is watching as she seemingly is falling for this trick of Saul and the guy from the library and her mother all calling out to her and being like, come to us. Forget about your friends, forget about this war, it's not your place, come live a good life with us. And she's just smiling, as you know she wants her family. And she just looks at Saul when he says, like, forget about Luffy and them. She's like, this is how I know you're not Saul, they would never ask this of me. And she doesn't fall for the trick. She's like, I know who my friends are, I know who my family is, I will stay and I will fight them, and I will be a demon to anyone who tries to harm them. And she transforms into this demon form. And again, I say this with love. When anyone says that Robin is a demon, it better be said with love, because Nico Robin is an angel and I love her. And anyone who calls her a demon as an insult is going immediately on my list. Let's just put it that way. So she transforms and takes out the spider lady, while Brook handles all her minions as well. And he used the cold soul fire or something like that to suck a guy out of a weapon. It was a whole thing. It's a delight. Brook was also not infected by these hallucinations just because he spent so long on a ship by himself imagining his crew returning that he's kind of used to that type of trauma of seeing them and knowing they're not real. These two have gone through so much trauma in their life, and they deserve so much better, and they found it on the Straw Hat crew. They found their family, so they've already got better. I love them so much. I love Brook. He is absolutely a delight. I love seeing him fight. I love Robin. I love seeing her fight. I loved when the spider lady was trying to play into an insecurity that does not exist, saying that you were led into a trap, you're disposable, Sanji set you up for this. And she's just like, I don't need to justify what it means to me that Sanji trusted in me to take you down. And she fights for her family, and I love that for her. Talking to Robin a little bit more, she's always been targeted by CP0, who's coming after her, one of which is Rob Lucci, by the way, revealed there. And I'm just like, Rob Lucci is not allowed touching a single hair on Nico Robin's head. Keep this man away from her. But they're after her because the world government wants her because of her knowledge of the poneglyphs. You also have Big Mom and Kaido mentioning before, we need to capture Robin to get to read the poneglyphs to get us to the One Piece. Everyone is after Robin. She needs to be protected at all cost. Talking about Sanji and his fight with Queen. I did enjoy Queen. Obviously, a very accurate depiction of dinosaurs and a Brachiosaurus. That's exactly how they acted in real life. And same thing with the other pirates, who was a Triceratops with like a spin around like a helicopter and fight. 100% accurate. And the pterodactyl dinosaur, 100% accurate. Oda did so much research in how dinosaurs fought in the Jurassic period. I am certain of it. Oh, I did love the dinosaurs. I love the dinosaurs, and I love dinosaur cyborgs, which is what Queen is. So he is fighting Sanji and has a relationship with Sanji's father and Germa technology, and everything that Sanji's battle suit can do, Queen can also do. And as much as I love their fight, this did actually make me like Sanji a little bit more. It might be redeeming him a bit for his other events in Wano and the little slide back he had. So essentially, Sanji is worried that wearing the suit has triggered the cells and the manipulation that father had in him to start to turn him into a monster like his brothers. Eventually, he thinks he's losing his mind and memories, and it's just losing his emotions. So he contacts Zoro and is just like, listen, if when this is over, I'm not myself, I'm not acting like me, I need you to kill me. And Zoro's just like, all right, bet, whatever you say. Also, come back alive, because I don't actually want to kill you, so you better survive this and explain what the hell you're talking about. And I love that he called Zoro for that. Like, in his fear, he knows how big of a threat he can be to his friends and his crew were he to lose who he was, and trusted in Zoro to take him down. So what triggered most of this is just a genuine feeling of his body being off. And then as the fights escalate, they go into another area, and he sees this woman who has been assaulted, thrown to the ground, and hit, and he thinks that he did this. And first of all, no way in hell. The second I read that, Sanji would not hurt a woman. His gags drive me up the wall, and I do not like how he treats women, but I know his character well enough to know that he would never, not under mind control, not under any situation, would he be able to hit a woman. Is not going to happen with his character. But he thinks he has. And for that reason, he is contemplating whether or not his known weakness that was exploited early in this arc with the Spider Lady, of not being able to fight a woman, is so big of a hindrance to Luffy and his dream and goal to become the Pirate King, that should he cast that aside and allow himself to be turned into this monster with no emotions, someone who's effective in fighting and can protect Luffy and see him become the Pirate King. Of those two options, Sanji as he is with this flaw of how he treats women versus who Germa tried to make him, who should he turn into? And it's a very easy choice for Sanji. He destroys the suit and is just like, Luffy would rather have me as I am, and I would rather be me, flaws and all, than risk becoming what my father tried to make me. Not father. He was not his father. Then, of course, it's revealed that Queen is actually the one who attacked the woman. No surprise there. I was actually very happy with the inclusion of the mouse. So she had a little mouse that she went looking for, and then you have flashbacks to Sanji as a child feeding the mice and having that being his only friend, and handing it back to the woman, and that was just really cute. We'll talk about Zoro and King, because that was an incredible fight that I don't actually think I know everything that happened. So King is revealed to be something. Some species of higher being, god-like, maybe, that lived on top of this area. It was, Marco was talking about how Whitebeard had said something about it. And Zoro recognizes like the flames on his back and his wings are his own to the species, not related to the pterodactyl devil fruit power. and they're fighting, and he realizes like an attack versus defense pattern that's revealed and is able to overcome with his multiple sword styles. Enma tries to kill him, the sword that Odin had, but he proves himself to be worthy of the sword and uses his own haki to use it to attack King. We learn about the sword's history that he already owned. So the sword master from Wano who left went to Zoro's home village, and that was the person who made one of Zoro's swords. And that connection here, Wano, I'm sure Zoro's going to have more connections revealed later on. I am leaning a bit towards he was a relative of one of the people who were in the cave with Yamato as a child some way. Side note, I'm probably thinking this because I am certain, and I don't know where, I heard someone talk about Oda revealing something about Zoro's family and history or something. It might have been an SBS, and I haven't been reading them recently. I will binge them all later. It just doesn't work with where I'm kind of binging the series, and I don't want to stop to read the questions and answers. But I think someone had mentioned something about Zoro's family being revealed or something. I don't honestly know. I really don't know. And he was the most likely candidate for that because they kind of got a similar vibe. Don't know if they're related, just kind of saying viable option if there is a member somewhere. Continuing with the review. Talking about King specifically, this is what really started to endear me to Kaido, just because Kaido had been shown in a flashback almost more happy even. Rescuing King, who had been experimented on by the government, and he was more or less being tortured, saved him, and King is just like, are you going to save the world, change the world, what can you do? And Kaido's like, I'm the only one who can, I'm the only one with the strength necessary to take on these people. And King's loyalty to Kaido is admirable there. It's like on par with the Straw Hats' loyalty to Luffy as their captain. And I would have loved more of King. I wanted him to be introduced sooner, whether in Dressrosa or Punk Hazard or Whole Cake Island, just something to introduce him, maybe talking about alliances, working with people under Kaido, and just really fleshing out his relationship and loyalty to Kaido. It did a fantastic job in this arc convincing me that King is loyal to Kaido with the flashbacks used. But I just want it more. I'm very greedy, apparently. I just want more. Talking about playing into my tinfoil hat theory, though, because when Zoro is finally able to take him down, he does so, and then there is a Grim Reaper. I am assuming this is in relation to the medicine that Chopper had given him so he could keep fighting, because now he's got to take on like 3 times the pain. But it's awful convenient that he says, like, I'm going to become the king of hell and take you down. And then he's in, like, this purgatory world with a Grim Reaper standing over him, almost as if hinting that purgatory's a thing and the hell exists and that some character might eventually have to go to the underworld and other characters might have to go hunt them down to bring them back. I really, really, really want them to go to the underworld, okay? I just really do. What happens next? Let's talk about CP0 again. So they are keeping track of the events that are happening, and it starts with they have this board, a go board with the white and black tiles. So they're moving around for representing the number of people going on this war. And originally, Kaido's forces, whether they represent the white or the black, I assume they were the black, vastly outnumbered the other ones represented on the board. However, between the Toby Rope Kaido's forces falling and the headline performers falling and Tama getting everyone and the Beast Pirates to come over to their side, it's more or less equal now, and it's looking like the revolution here in Wano might actually win and overtake Kaido. And they start talking about this devil fruit that went missing years and years and years ago. Ones that has actually been forgotten as they tried to call it a different name to make people forget about it. One that had been taken by red-haired Shanks years and years ago. We also learned this during Jinbei's fight with the saber-toothed guy, as he's talking about he failed to protect the devil fruit and the government's angry at him, and talking about this god Nika. And everything is coming together and it's a delight. So Tinfoil Hat is on and on strong when I'm wondering, did Shanks know the importance of the devil fruit that he took? I'm saying yes. I'm saying he took that devil fruit and had intended to bring it to Ace as Roger's son, chosen him to do whatever is being planned out. But Luffy was the one who ended up taking it. So now he says that he has to protect Luffy. That's why he sacrificed his arm for a new dawn, a new age. And I think this is going to be in reference somehow to Momo as well, because he already had mentioned him bringing Wano into a new dawn. And Momo saying, for whatever he read in that journal, he needs to stay alive for it. I'm also wondering why Shanks was able to get in with the Celestial Dragons and talk about on behalf of or talk about a certain pirate. I assume possibly it was saying, hey, remember that devil fruit I stole from you that you've been calling by other names so no one would know what it is? Here's who actually has it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for them not to know Luffy has it. Because I think they said something along the lines of it's just kind of been revealed to us now what happened to it, where it is, what's going on. I don't really know. It's kind of vague and fuzzy. But I'm very excited with all that. And we will be talking about the transformation in the next video. But there's some little hints of what the hell is going on. While I'm in Tinfoil Hat Theory, let's stick with where I think the devil fruits came from. So, skipping ahead, we learn that the Gum Gum fruit is actually a mythical Zoan-type sun god Nika. And it's a delight when we revealed that, and I'm still upset that someone told me that that was where the Looney Tunes aspect really kicked in. That would have been a fun surprise to see how crazy it went and not to suspect it, but I'm getting off topic. So my current theory is that there are other god fruits, possibly located with the One Piece, and the Sun God one was the one that was missing. And it was up to Shanks to track it down on behalf of Roger to finish something, whatever. Maybe bring it back to the Laugh Tale Island. Most of what I'm leaning towards the vibe is going on now is the fact that previously people had said that the Will of D or the people of the Will of D are enemies of the gods. Initially, I had thought the gods would be the Celestial Dragons, obviously. But what if it's the enemy of the people with the devil fruit who are gods? And also that the ancient weapons are named after gods. So originally I was kind of under the impression maybe the people with the ancient weapons were the ones from the Void Century fighting the government who became the world government. But maybe it was the Celestial Dragons and people with these Zoan devil fruits and all these weapons named after gods who were fighting the people of the Void Century and the Will of D people. I just kind of like the idea of Luffy being almost like a harmony, a joining of the two. Like you have good and bad on both sides because someone had to betray. I'm certain Teach has to be a reflection of someone else from the Will of D who was a traitor. So good and bad on both sides, and Luffy is both. He's not bad. He would be like on the bad sides with either the Celestial Dragons or the Devil Fruits or something like that, but it's also a Will of D, like the bringing together of the two sides into one person. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I just like the idea of the Will of D being enemies of the gods. We think the gods being the Celestial Dragons, but it actually being something related to the weapons or these new Devil Fruits that have a god Zoan type. I kind of like that vibe a bit more, but we're going to see how everything plays out. Talking about Big Mom's fight with La and Kid, because I've already mentioned I adore them calling each other by their first names. I just love that so very much when they're fighting and then they're bickering, because then you have La being like, hey, we have to give this everything we can. Can you awaken your devil fruit? And Kid awakens his devil fruit, which turns Big Mom basically into a magnet, so all the metal stuff is piling a lot on her, and La's just like, perfect, how long will that last? And Kid's just like, why should I tell you all my secrets? And I love that moment. And then you have La activating his awakened devil fruit, which like extends the sword that he has to stab her in the neck as like anesthetized, so like paralyzing her. And then again he does it through, and the sword goes through her, through the island into like the sea below. It's a delight. My heart actually broke with the finishing move of making a silent room, honoring Corazon and making a soundproof area, and calling back to how he had said that the silence fruit was useless and not any good in battle, when actually it was. And when Kid hits her and she's hanging off the side, and she's trying to call for everyone to come get to save her, but the room is silent, so her minions can't hear her as she falls. And she's thinking about Roger and how this is all his fault. Why would you usher in a new age of piracy, bringing up these young ones to challenge us? And how come you didn't tell me about the One Piece? Tell me what it is, and stuff like that. Those moments, absolute delight. But nothing stands up to, okay, La and Kid throwing everything they have at Big Mom, only for her to like take a year of her life to turn one of her own bones into one of her homies to heal and fight and all that. And then she is angry, calling in the souls and everything in the area. The soul is leaving their body, and we as the reader know that if you're not afraid, then she can't take your soul. Or your lifespan. I have no idea if La and Kid are aware of this, but they just stand there, unaffected, unafraid. They are genuinely not scared of this Emperor of the Sea sucking the life out of everything around them, and they're just like, I ain't scared, I'm gonna take you down. And then eventually her falling over the edge and supposedly dying, but thankfully the comment section of the last video, when I admitted that I was a little upset that Luffy wasn't the one to fight Big Mom because he had more set up with her, her story cannot be over just because we need her to get to Elbaf. We need to figure out who she wants in her island. We need Luffy's payoff. Her story's not done, so she's likely coming back. But for the time being, La and Kid are spent, exhausted. They've used everything they've had and are like, okay, if the person who is fighting up top, if the winner is not Luffy, I got nothing left. They are down. La and Kid's crews are celebrating that they just took down an emperor, but they are spent. I really loved La and Kid and Big Mom in these arcs. Like, it was an absolute delight. I really love Big Mom. I love Kid. I love La. I'm so excited to see what becomes of their characters going forward. Back to CP0. So they got word from the world government, and we learn what happened at the Reverie. None of which I'm happy. Well, very little of which I'm happy about, but because it's all lies. It's all lies. I refuse to believe any of it. So apparently, Sabo has killed the king of Alabasta. They've taken Kuma. Vivi is missing, and there was an attempt at murder on one of the celestial dragons. And I'm like, no. Let me tell you what happened, because that's not what happened. Sabo would never kill the king of Alabasta. What actually must have happened, I refuse to believe otherwise, is they found out because the pointy hat guy, Inu, had a picture of Vivi, and we're assuming that they're going after Alabasta for their refusal to join the Celestial Dragons, and they're going to purge it or something. So Sabo went to them after learning something or being informed of something, and is just like, hey, you guys hate the Celestial Dragons. We all love Luffy. Let's create a plan. Hi, I'm Luffy's brother, by the way. And faked the king's death, faked Vivi's disappearance to get her to safety, and it was a good Celestial Dragon who was attacked or something, so he's in on it too. And I refuse to believe anything else, because they are definitely planning something to go against the world government and the Celestial Dragons. With the help of Kuma, because I still really like the idea of he had turned himself over to the government, allowed himself to be turned into this cyborg, despite his loyalty to the revolution. I am convinced him and Vegapunk have some kind of thing going on where they inserted some kind of override into the pacifistas using Kuma, that will eventually take the pacifistas to bring them over to the revolutionary side. This is mostly supported by when Kuma had supposedly died, Vegapunk had honored his wish of having one of the pacifists protect the Sunny until one of the Straw Hats showed up to collect it back in Return to Sabati. So I'm convinced that Kuma did something to allow the pacifistas to be override to return to fight for the revolution. I gotta believe that. But CP0 is too focused on the fact that, hey, we have to stop this devil fruit from awakening. So they send someone to interrupt the fight with Kaido and Luffy. A pure-on suicide mission, because you're going to stop Kaido. You're stepping into that fight. Are you serious? So they're going, and they have two objectives. Make sure Luffy loses and kidnap Nico Robin. So the two CP01s are going through, and they come across Izu, who I love because they were a member of the Whitebeard Pirates, so obviously I love them. And he is protecting Momo, I think it was, and refuses to let the CP0 pass through on their mission to go look for Robin. And they're like, ordinarily, we would stop you as a member of the Whitebeard Pirates, but we're willing to let you walk away if you leave us alone. We got bigger fish to fry right now. And Izo's just like not having it. So he has the fight with them. It's basically skipped over, but he takes down one of them, except he doesn't get the guy in the mask to stay down. So Izo's down on the ground. I'm thinking just passed out, but apparently killed. And I'm like, what the hell? One of my favorite of the samurais, equal level to most of the samurais, but he was on the with Whitebeard, so I do love him. And you don't let me properly grieve his death because I didn't even know he died. Regardless, one who survived makes it up to the roof where Kaido and Luffy are fighting. They are having an all-out kind of fight. Kaido is really enjoying himself, finally having an opponent who can fight him. Luffy isn't even in a serious mode. He's in his I'm having a great time fighting a strong opponent mode. He gets pissed off when Kaido starts drinking, thinking he's not taking his fight seriously, but he is taking it seriously. You have Kaido reflecting back when he hears that Big Mom has fallen, thinking back to Lin Lin being older than him and taking him under her wing, and them together on the Rocks Pirates. You see a little bit of humanity-ish in him as he genuinely cared a little bit about the relationships he had, and we were going to get the One Piece together, and then probably he was going to attack and fight her. Cutting in because we had the, like, split the sky Luffy's Emperor moment. Oh my god, it was a delight. Just like how Whitebeard and Shanks, and Whitebeard and Roger, and Shanks and Mihawk, and Lin Lin and Kaido, like when their powers are so intense and the haki clashes, and so much it splits the heavens. Goes up, clouds part, absolutely wonderful. And for Luffy to have that moment against Kaido, I loved it. Balancing off with that, we have an additional Eureka, a wonderful moment, because as the clouds part, we got cut down to the Minks, who were fighting with Jack and his forces, and it was like we had thought that would be the last moon, but now that the clouds have parted because of that attack, they're able to continue on fighting in their Sulong form and turn the tides once again, because it's beautiful and I love it. But I really loved Kaido, and then the fight being interrupted with Luffy giving it his all, being like, I'm putting everything into this punch. If I don't finish it in this one knockout blow, I got nothing left. And it's looking like you don't know who's going to win. And then CP0 comes, knocks out Luffy, and Kaido is declared the winner. I was quite honestly shocked in that moment, because Luffy is down, like knocked out, confirmed dead, apparently. And Kaido just looks at the CP0 man like, do you have any idea what you just done? Interrupting my fight after his fight with Odin had been interrupted, and now his fight with Luffy, the two people who could stand up to him and give him an actual battle, he lost Kaido won dishonorably as it was due to someone else's interference. CP0 guy just looks at Kaido, accepts his fate, knows what's about to happen, and Kaido knocks him down dead. I don't know what to say. And then you have the announcement of Luffy's fallen. And previously, when Luffy had fell in the water, you had people not believing it. It was How many miracles have you seen Luffy pull off? Of course he's going to come back. Of course he's going to be okay. Of course he's returning. It brings up the morale. Like, Luffy's coming. He's going to fight Kaido. He's going to win. All of us need to keep fighting. You had Zoro and Sanji talking as one grins, and it's just like, he's figured something out. He's learned how to win, and the other being like, don't tell me what I already know. Of course Luffy's going to win. Whereas now morale starts to drop as Luffy's presence is lost. No one can feel his haki anymore. And it looks like Kaido has come out victorious. He shouts out, Kaido knows that he needs to squash this revolution. Bring me Momnosuke. I'm going to destroy the last little bit of hope you have. And Momo is just like, maybe I should turn myself in for the sake of everyone here, that someone might survive, because that's what his father had done. Odin had sacrificed his honor and not fought because he wanted to protect the people he could. But Yamato looks to him and is just like, if you turn yourself over, the past 20 years have been wasted. We are not going to get another chance. We need to take this now. So, like, join me, fight to the death. And Momo's just like, okay, I'm not surrendering. And then you have the elephant from Zou coming in. And to which, like, you have the natural defenses of Wano. You have the Marines who are surrounding the island, waiting, I don't know, maybe for the being able to get in. They're just there. And then the elephant comes. And Momo is thinking that he knows that his father wanted to open the island, open the borders, but now is not the time. He doesn't trust that this is the right moment, so Zou kind of backs off. And oh, so many thoughts, because initially, I had thought, this is full-on spoilers for after they leave this island and they're still in Wano, concerning ancient weapon stuff. Initially, I had thought that Zou was walking in reference to the moon. So as the moon orbits the Earth, where I'm assuming the ancient weapon Uranus is, Zou is kind of following it. And that's why he's walking forever. But it turns out he has more relations to Wano, where the Pluton is. So Pluton is in Wano, but the only way to get to it is to bring down the border. To open up the borders to get access to it. And I'm assuming the elephant can be involved with breaking through the natural defenses and bringing down the border. We'll talk more about tinfoil hat theories in the next video, but right now Momo doesn't want to bring down, or doesn't want to open the borders yet, so the elephant leaves. And I just have so many questions on how they're related, and then how we're bringing in the final ancient weapon, so maybe the Uranus is actually with the One Piece. I don't know. I liked it better when I thought the Pluton was located at Laugh Tale, but we're going to figure it out eventually. There's just so much going on, and I want to know why Odin wanted to open up the border to clear the path for Joy Boy, but that would involve getting access to the ancient weapon, and how that plays into things. Speaking of Joy Boy, the reason the big elephant came was because Joy Boy has finally awakened. And we see Luffy's eyes open, his transformation begins, and he's like melting. And oh, sweet love of God. I'm going to stop here just because I want to give the next section full attention. So I've gone over the individual fights. I might have to come back to some specific moments later if I skipped over them. But my God. A delight. I want to say my adrenaline high is over, but it's really not. I did have some nitpick issues, but I really enjoyed all of these fights and all of these characters. And my only complaint is I want more background to get invested in some of the opponents they were going after, but that's it. I'm so excited to move on from Wano to the next arc of the series, but again, I can't do that until I get these videos up. So I need to make one more to finish off Wano. And then I get to go into the current arc, and I'm so excited. I will talk to you later. Bye. And just a little bonus, because I noticed my figures in the background, and I bought some new ones recently, so you can look at all the little figures I've gotten. Yes, I've spent too much money, and someone needs to take my credit card away from me. I really love Luffy and Boa, but old and young Naruto just hit differently, and I love these little Spy Family ones. My three favorites are right by me now when I film, so I've got Ace and Itachi, and of course Chuya, my probably all-time favorite anime character. I love Chuya. Laz chilling up here, and then I was at a room on the regular shelf, so Shanks went up here with the dragons, and I spent so much money trying to get these little guys from Hot Topic, like I couldn't get a key for the life of me.